I've always been an alchemist, transmuting what remains after destruction, creating something new, hopefully infusing the innocence, love, and light that was lost, building with broken shards that make my hands bleed. Loss doesn't just come from death, but from what was supposed to be and never will. That feeling of grief swells, and then the almost unthinkable question hits. What next? Welcome to the Obliterated Place for all the brokenhearted, a space dedicated to creating something from the unrecognizable remnants of loss in its many forms. A place to witness one another's grief and choose to honor grief through our actions, big and small. I'm Kaye Steinsapir. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello and welcome back to the Obliterated Place. This is Kaye Steinsapir, your host. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for joining. If you're joining for the first time, thank you so much. I'm here with my good friend, Lyle Green. Hi, Lyle.
Hey, Kaye.
I'm so excited that you're here. It's great to see you too. We used to see each other like every day across the street from each other. And since the Palisades fire, you know, it's less frequent. So it's good to be with you.
It's always good to be with you.
It'll be interesting because I know you well, like we've spent a lot of time together, but the things we're going to talk about, I don't know at all. Some of the things, our families, for our listeners, for our audience, Lyle and I are neighbors in the Pacific Palisades, trying to get back home. We will be back home on our street.
Yes.
Hopefully sometime this year. Baruch Hashem.
Yes.
Hopefully this year. We moved to Pacific Palisades when Molly and Nate were really young. Nate was a baby, and you all were already living there. And I think you had recently moved there pretty soon before us. Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah. 6 months, that's all? Yeah.
It was very close.
Our kids were, Molly and Lyle's daughter Emerson were in pre-K together and became best friends. And our families became, I don't even want to say friends, like we're extended family.
For sure.
Sure.
You were our COVID family.
I know.
Everything.
COVID family. Sure. Oh my God. And we obviously, you know, just have in that time frame, God, what is it? So Nate's 15, so like 15 years, which is so hard to believe.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's so crazy. And for our audience, I am very close friends with Lyle's wife, Melanie, who's part of our foundation board. And I obviously know Lyle very well as well. But this podcast is really about the things that happen in our lives that kind of create the before and after, you know, the before and after we lose someone or a fire. You know, we all have those moments, a disease, a diagnosis. We all have things that happen to us in life that create for us, you know, sort of these demarcation points in life. And oftentimes those events are so difficult that we find ourselves in an obliterated place where everything is just no longer what we knew and what we recognize, and it's all different and it's all in some ways destroyed, and we have to create hopefully something new in that obliterated place and find some way to go forward in our after times, right? So that's sort of the through line with this podcast. So our audience now is probably becoming familiar with the fact that we have all sorts of different types of guests here. We have people who have everyone's lost someone in their lives. We all have a story. My breast cancer community, there are people who their obliterated place happened to them because of their diagnosis, oftentimes completely out of the blue when they were young, otherwise very healthy women. And obviously for us, Molly's accident and her passing created that in our lives as well. So that's the through line, and you know,
it's
Lyle,
a very select group that can come on.
Oh well, I mean, it's
and
a pretty.
Join you. You have to have been through some pretty rocky times.
Well, I mean, I think everyone's been through at least one. And if they're not going to, if they haven't yet, then it's coming because it's just life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's lost someone close to them, and if they haven't yet, then it's coming. So
That's true.
we're talking about universal topics, but you and I are people who have already had quite a few in life. I feel like I'm somebody who's had a few things that have happened in my life that have kind of been transformative and put me in a different place, whether it's my cancer diagnosis or Molly's passing or the fires. It's all been a lot. And you are also one of those people.
And very close together for you.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a decade.
Yes.
It's been a decade.
Yes.
It was just I just saw my oncologist. It's now been over 9 years since my diagnosis, if you can believe it. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
It's incredible. I love it.
Yep.
It's good.
It's good. I'm grateful to be here. And, this is also just part of me like wanting to make my time count. When we are confronted with these things, it causes us to evaluate, what am I doing with my time on this planet? It is limited, and it could be extremely limited. So how am I making it count? And this is just for me another way I want to try to make my time meaningful.
I think that's great. Helping others. You're constantly looking to help others. That's for sure. Which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I find it very healing. Like it's not all just altruistic. It's literally what makes me better. Like it's what makes me, I feel like what I told you, I just had my 9-year visit, and I'm like, I want to stay good. I want to stay healthy. I don't want to come here anymore. And it's part of my like medicine almost,
I know exactly how, that Melanie, because you're so close with Melanie, is the complete opposite as far as talking about things. But there's no question with everything that in my life, it helps to talk to others about where you are. And if you can help them in the process, it's always been very important to me.
Yeah.
So, Melanie, not so much talking about things.
But she's a listener. She's a listener.
Maybe,
she's a fan of the podcast and listens to the episodes. So hi, Mel.
Hi, Mel.
Love you. Well, I know, and this will be interesting for me because I obviously know you lost your dad when you were young. But I don't know the details of your story with the loss of your father.
Yeah, it's obviously something that has changed my life at a very young age. I was 4, my brother was 5, and my mom instantly became a single mother, and she never remarried, and that also had changed a lot. But when I think about being obliterated, that would be the best word for my mother, for sure. I think I was a little bit young to realize everything that was going on. I still remember very distinctly picking up the phone and telling my mom I was calling God to talk to Daddy. So
Aww.
there were things that I can remember vividly for a 4-year-old,
right?
That still surprised my mom to this day.
I'm interested in that because Eli was 4 when we lost Molly. And so sometimes, I think, does he remember her, or does he think he remembers her because of the photos and stories and everything, so.
Well, the photos and stories certainly played a big part and kept my dad at the top of my mind for sure. And I think that was a big deal. But I also remember things like big things when we were at my godmother's house, when my mom was having major back surgery. And I can remember her crying, saying, no, 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 no. And I was with my brother. We were playing, and we had overheard that my dad had died. And I looked to my brother, who's only 5, and said, Daddy died. And he was like, I don't know. And then she came out and told us. And,
you remember that? Yeah.
Really
very
well.
clearly.
Yes.
Yeah. How could you not?
It was just,
Yes.
I just I didn't understand what death was.
No.
But we were just trying to figure it out. Then the next thing I remember, really, I don't even remember talking with my mother or anything, but the funeral, going up, and it was interesting as a Jew. Now I know that we don't have open caskets, but he had an open casket for one reason or another, and I kept asking to go back up and see Daddy, and I can really remember that. It also was weird because it didn't look like him. So the images of him, it was kind of like it really wasn't him.
Yeah. So
maybe that played a pretty big part in me wanting to pick up the phone and call him. So
this isn't him. Where is my actual daddy?
Where is he? Right. Exactly.
God, what happened? What happened to him?
So I have a half brother and a half sister, and my half brother and half sisters, who you know Cindy and Marty, right?
Yes.
Very close with them. So it's only in
we've had holidays together.
Yeah, only in these type of conversations would I ever refer to them as half because we're so close.
But, same. I have the same with my sisters. I don't say half either.
Right. Yeah. But for the purpose of this story, their mother had reached out to our dad and said that there were some issues happening with my sister, and she would like him to come out. And he, in a second, was like, "Okay, I'll be there." Went out to California, and never came home. So
was he in an accident?
He had a heart attack.
Oh, he had a heart attack.
Yeah, I probably should have told you that.
Yeah,
certainly for your listeners, I didn't know. Right.
What happened to him?
He just didn't come back. No, he had a heart attack. So massive heart attack. Was in died alone in the hotel room, which as far as an impact is concerned, anytime for the longest time, I stayed in a hotel room. I always stayed in a hotel room with my brother. And then as I started traveling on business, I would stay with my business partner who I was very close with. And at some point he was like, "Okay, enough's enough. I'm snoring. You're putting remote controls in my mouth to stop me from snoring." And enough was enough. But
does that work? Because I would try that on John. I haven't tried that.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it does. It at the very least wakes him up. So, yes, you should try that.
Yeah. He does a CPAP machine now, but he still manages to snore even through that. I used to tell him, "You're snoring so loud the Greens can hear you across the street."
Melanie says that I do too. And I told her I didn't believe her until she started recording me. So,
yes.
That's, yeah.
Can't contest that.
Anyway, the idea of staying in a hotel room, especially with kids, especially as I was approaching 46, he died when he was 46.
Yeah.
It really changed. Like I didn't want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I was up late and awake early. And it really changed a lot of the things because I didn't want to die alone in a hotel room.
I wonder how much you were even conscious of. Like how much of that is just like innate. Like, you know what I mean? Something your subconscious mind
there's no question.
Knows that. Like I remember you were having anxiety around travel. And I wonder if that, because that was after you were 46, that was more recently.
Yeah.
Like on planes and everything. I wonder if it's all part of the same subconscious feelings, Not that this is a podcast where we're psychoanalyzing, but maybe.
No, yeah. I mean, likely, I think that everything, when you have something that changes your life, I mean, it was very difficult from the perspective that my brother and I were in a position with my mother who was truly found her one and only love.
Yeah.
And was just going through back surgery. This was very difficult because at the time, in addition, there was a dispute between continued alimony with
his first wife.
Who I actually really liked a lot. Didn't realize what had happened, but for the longest time, we didn't have money because everything was tied up, waiting for that to work its way out. So we saw a lot of my grandparents, but then my grandparents had full-time job on my mother's side,
Right.
full-time jobs, and owned a business. So when they left, it was a really difficult. Home was a difficult place to be, and
This was in Ohio, right?
it was in Ohio.
Yeah.
My mom has pictures, and this is crazy for me because Tatum is 7 years old, and I would never let him near the oven or the stove. But I was making full meals
Right. Yeah.
for our family
Yeah.
at 5 and 6 years old. My brother was doing the same thing because my mother couldn't get out of bed because she was because of her back, but she was also very depressed.
Yeah. Wow. For our audience, Tatum is Lyle's fourth child, a young prince with three older sisters. Young prince.
Yes.
We all love him. Yeah, I can relate to that because I have such a different, my kids have a different life than I had. And my older son, Nate, is 15. And I say to him, like, by the time I was your age, I was making all of my own food. I was, whatever I needed, I was buying. I had a job. I was buying since 15. Like that has never changed. And it's just, I'm probably sound like one of those old people. Like, I walked a mile in the snow.
Uphill both ways. Yes.
But it's weird, you know. It's like I get it, like the idea of like, oh, Tatum would never be at the stove at 7 years old, but our lives were quite different than what our kids have. Completely.
And I think that, you know, my grandparents were really good. My grandmother was teaching us how to cook. Melanie wakes up at 6 a.m. to get everything ready for the kids. That day, my brother would wake me up 2 minutes before we had to be on the bus, and we would run out. I mean, that was what our life was like. But you know, the loss of my father was very difficult because my mom was trying to be a mother and father. Yeah. We were blessed that she went to Jewish Big Brothers Association and got a big brother for us.
That's amazing.
Who we're still very close with. We still refer to him as our brother, and we see him as much as we possibly can. He's really our only connection left to Cleveland, outside of my friends, of course. But even growing up without a father, it was different because there was a lot of anti-Semitism when we were growing up, especially where I grew up, and we didn't have the same type of upbringing as somebody with a father who prepared him and would have us we likely would have been a little bit more aggressive. Yeah. Although I was pretty.
I'm like, what? You would have been more aggressive? What would you be doing? Knocking these people out?
I had ADHD. Melanie will tell you that I still do. You probably think I still do, and it's true. But it was different because I held a lot of anger, and when people would give us a hard time, I generally got in trouble. Where my brother was extremely studious and went off and got his MBA from Yale, and I took a lot more. I took a different path, and which was not the same. And I think a lot of it. My mom also, my poor mom, we would go to the same guy who basically fucked us for years, same psychologist, twice or three times a week, and he would tell her that it was me being angry over my father's death, and I really needed to keep coming. And I was much more angry for having to show up and miss sports events, miss different things, whatever it may be, because I was in talking to him 3 days a week for an hour.
That's a lot.
It was ridiculous. Then insurance wasn't paying for it. And
I was going to ask if there was like any mental health, component, but it sounds like it was the opposite of helpful.
It was brutal.
I was a little scared when you said you fucked you guys. I was like, wait, what?
No,
what are you talking about?
No, thank God, nothing like that.
You never know.
No, you're right. That's so true. I should have definitely I should have explained myself a little bit better there. But financially. And probably a little bit emotionally. I mean, it was going in and having a conversation about things that really I didn't feel have anything to do with going on was difficult. So,
like for years after his passing, like for a long time.
I think my mom. I think I saw somebody from the age of 8 to like 14.
Wow.
Which is why I never, ever, like in California, going and seeing a psychologist is perfectly normal and
Right.
everybody
Yeah.
should do it. I never wanted to do it because I had such a terrible experience.
And it probably wasn't like a common thing, I'm guessing.
No,
in
you
that
were definitely
time.
a mess if you were seeing somebody
3
in
times
Cleveland
a week.
3 times a week.
For 6 years.
For sure. For sure there was something wrong with you. Yeah, that's definitely, when I look back, that's definitely true.
Interesting. But you guys did, I mean, I know you're so close with your mom. And first of all, just say this, like you and your mom and your brother have great genes. You all look really good. You look good. Like you've had like a glow up or something. Your skin looks really good. Have you been on vacation?
Thank you. I was on vacation. Got a little color. Good. But I'm out coaching at Santa Monica now all the time, and I should probably put some more stuff
You
on my
look good.
face.
You guys have good genes. And your mom,
you.
like
Yes.
she's just hilarious for our audience. Lyle's mother comes out. What is she? 90?
92.
92.
Yes, 92.
92. And she is like a pistol. She's hilarious. And like, she really does a lot still.
She's amazing. I mean, the fact that she raised us and luckily Eric and I have turned out to have very successful careers with great wives and families. I mean, it's all because of her.
Amazing.
She just did an incredible job raising us, considering of what a terrible child I was to her. I mean, I didn't do anything. I wasn't going out and doing drugs or drinking, and I really wasn't getting in fights or anything like that, but I just wasn't very nice to her, which...
so maybe there's hope for me, like, when Nate's a little shit to me.
By the way, Nate is, compared to what I was...
He's not that bad?
No. No, I mean, I think that... The difference is I never ignored my mom.
Yeah.
I would go right in, but sometimes I see that Nate, from time to time...
Yeah, it's different
shuts
these
down.
days. Yeah, well, and like these kids, they've got the computers and everything now. It's like it's easier for them to do that. We didn't have that shit when we were growing up. So it's like you were more. We were moving foundation offices over the weekend, and Eli was there, and he was like, "I'm bored." I was like, "It's good. You need to be bored. Nobody's bored these days. I was bored my whole life. My whole summer was bored. Like I didn't have anything to do."
That's right. We found things to do.
You find things to do. And so you were probably like in her face more because that was more of the thing back then.
Right. I mean, it was Melanie can't, because she's so easygoing and everything that our interactions so different than what she grew up with. Yeah. And I think different from most, in fairness.
Well, you guys make a lot of jokes.
Yes.
A lot. Nobody's immune from these jokes, including a 92-year-old grandmother.
Oh, no. She's the center. The center of the jokes.
And she never minds, right? She's fine with it.
No,
she doesn't care.
She calls me an asshole or something like that and makes her feel better. It's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah. She's still flying out here and like on her own, right? Like amazing. Yeah, you guys have good genes. You lost your dad young, but your mom's like a superstar. And
thank God, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
she's healthy and it's amazing. I mean, just recently, 8 years ago now, 9 years ago, I had a little scare.
I remember
with my heart, and I could remember thinking, I can't die.
Yeah.
I can't do to my kids what, my dad obviously didn't mean to do it, but I can't, I have to be here. And then just recently, Eric, my brother, had a stent placed, and which is scary. And we're very, very close.
Yes.
And we talk several times a day, even if it's for a couple seconds.
Is he living in Ohio? No, he lives somewhere else.
He's in Philly.
Okay, yes.
Right outside of Philadelphia. And then I went and I got checked, and I have 60% blockage. So it's those type of things that you're like, I'm right in the middle. Do I do something? What do I do?
Well, it's good that and you're checking. And, obviously we had Lily on the podcast, and we knew and loved Damon, and his death was related to a similar
massive
issue.
Yeah.
So it's good that people may hear this and somebody goes and gets their heart checked out. You never know.
The interesting thing is when I'll talk to my friends about it all the time, and nobody really knows. except for with the exception of one of my friends, Brad Goldberg, who knows probably more than most doctors. Nobody really knows. Nobody knows what's out and available to them. No one knows if you're doing a treadmill. The only way it's going to be seen is if there's 70 or 80% blockage, whatever the number is.
Oh, really?
And there's other things. Right, exactly.
I didn't know that.
Right. So there's non-invasive ways to see what your heart looks like. Like my calcium score was good. I didn't realize, even with my wife, who's a cardiothoracic nurse practitioner for young kids,
Yes.
that one of the tests, it won't matter because I have a type of blood that's sticky blood that is related to genetics. So if you have a calcium score, you have to have it calcified, and mine is not calcified, so they can't. It wouldn't show.
It's kind of crazy what you have to figure out on your own as a patient, right? I mean, I just had over the weekend. I created a group for breast cancer patients, survivors, what we call previvors, people who know they have a genetic predisposition and they are taking preventative measures, like a mastectomy and other things. So I created this group because the group I wanted when I was going through treatment didn't exist, or I couldn't find it. So I created this amazing group. There are now about 300 some odd number of us online, but
Amazing.
a lot of us are local. So we had brunch at my house over the weekend, and I'm always amazed by how much we learn from each other. And I mean, there were things about my own cancer treatment plan that only happened because I happened to find out through another friend who was going through cancer treatment at another hospital. Oh, they're giving me this. And I would say to my team, what about this? I don't know about this. There's just an incredible amount that for whatever reason isn't provided, or maybe it's difficult for a patient to absorb, but all of it, maybe they told me, well, a lot of these things I know they did not, but it's incredible how you have to be your own advocate and how you have to learn from other people and how you have to
100%.
constantly be on it.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things I learned from my mother. I mean, she is constantly with her doctors, asking questions, looking things up herself. So she throughout her life, Melanie makes fun of both of us, but because we might feel something and then we have to get it checked. And that's because my dad died. And I think it's
that makes sense.
because my mom feels the same way, but it is really something that you absolutely have to be your own advocate. You have to ask the right questions if you don't know the right. I mean, there were so many times that I've asked Melanie to come with me to an appointment because I don't know what they're saying or I don't know what to ask. And doing the research is scary sometimes. I mean, for instance, I think I told you that I went to the Commons Clinic and did a full body and with Eric.
I did not know that.
Listening.
I did not know that.
It's incredible work. They test your blood, detailed blood tests, and they go over all the markers and explain them to you, where other doctors really don't have the time to do that. I had a full body MRI. I had a treadmill done. I had my VO2 max done. It was incredible, but they still didn't catch the blockage in my heart. I mean,
my God.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's my cholesterol was good. My calcium score was good. All those things were good. And had my brother not had his stent placed, I would not have asked.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Life's crazy in general. I mean, we just have so much between us that's just, between loss and the fire and just everything that's happened. It's just, and then I think, well, maybe this is how it is for most people and we just don't realize it. Maybe a lot of people have so much crazy stuff going on and we don't know. Like I had my friend Nafis on here whose daughter has an eating disorder that she's had throughout her entire, from the time she was very young, like 9 or 10 years old, and now she's 18. And you wouldn't know that looking at their family necessarily. You wouldn't be aware or aware of how serious it is and how it impacts everything. I'm sure. So yeah, we've all got something, or more than one thing for sure.
I think one of the biggest things, and I'll never forget having a discussion with John about it, is it's always great. People don't know what to say, so some people don't reach out. And John said to me with Molly, the thing that was most meaningful is when people would say, "May her memory be for a blessing." And I think that saying that, or any type of showing grace, there's too many times that I'll hear somebody whose father passed away or mother passed away or whatever it may be, and someone making the mistake of saying, well, they had a really full life, at least.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's so many
90 some years.
There's so many platitudes, right?
Yeah.
And they never land well.
No, right.
Nobody wants to hear them. Keep it simple, right? Just keep it simple. And I think at least for me, and I know a lot of people I know, because I also created a group for grieving parents similar to the breast cancer group that I have as well. And I know that just a lot of people, we just want to talk about, in our case, the kids, that we lost, and we want people to ask us about them. We want to share, and we don't want it to be, it's not, you're doing something good for us when you bring them up and ask about them, not something that's reminding us of something we don't want to be reminded of.
Right.
We are never not thinking of them.
It's really interesting. I think that I love hearing stories about my dad, and as people die and are gone, the stories are less and less.
Yeah.
So being able to hear those type of stories, any stories, really resonates. And we had videos and we had pictures, and it really made a difference. And the one thing that I am constantly thinking about is, am I making my dad proud? Am I, am I doing the right things by my children? And
I think yes. I mean, I think he must be very proud. I know your mom is, for good reason. I mean, you guys are really solid men, and that's really something, considering.
That's nice. Thank you.
You are. And I mean, you always try to, be somebody who is a mentor, and that's so important now. Like so many young men are isolated and experiencing depression and all of these things that Scott Galloway, who I love, talks about. Yeah. I got Nate his book, Notes on Being a Man. But it's so important, and we need people like you to be that person for someone who doesn't have it, like your big brother was, right, for you. And I try to do that in life as well, because sometimes many of us don't have in our lives someone to be that figure.
How often are people asked that you run across somebody who lost a child that they don't want to talk about it?
Never.
See, that's important.
Never, not a single one. No, never. Especially not to me. I mean, that because they know I understand, and
right.
We're speaking the same language always, right?
Right.
I suppose, and there are times I always have to make this calculation when people, you don't realize until you lose a child how often a stranger asks you if you have children. They ask you all the time. I mean, it's just like, hi, how are you? Do you have children? I mean, it's just like a small talk.
Right.
And I have to make always a decision, like, what am I doing right now? Do I want to get into it? Almost always I talk about Molly, but there are times, and we also have to think about how we phrase it. We'll say we have 2 boys, and it's not, we're not saying anything about having a daughter or something. It's just the vast majority of the time we're talking about Molly, but there are some situations where it's like, yeah, we can't get into this right now, or this person's not going to be able to handle it, or we don't have time for that kind of conversation at the moment. And I never make it heavy. Even, it's like and for my kids too, I want it to be this is not like a taboo subject. This is not something that leads to like the room suddenly becoming tense and heavy.
Or the music stopping.
I don't want that. No. So, I mean, we talk about Molly all the time. So that's what we have always known, we wanted to do.
It is interesting because, I mean, we're certainly at the age where people are like, are your parents still alive?
Yeah.
And you want to, at that moment, you're thinking, do I really want to go in to saying that my dad died? This is the 50th anniversary of his death. Do I really want what so having those type of conversations, it's interesting because you don't know where it's going to lead. You have to make a real time decision on how far you want to, how much you want to talk about it.
Yeah. But I'm never upset with anyone for bringing Molly up or asking or anything. I would always prefer that than not.
Right. I agree. I think,
There were even times we were with family after Molly passed. I remember we got together with family for the first time like this summer after Molly passed, who live out of town, and there was just no mention of her. Like no one said anything, and I was just like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what is happening here? How is it we are together, like doing our annual summer thing, and like we haven't mentioned it yet? Like, obviously we had talked on the phone, obviously, and all of that, but because the accident happened during the pandemic and all of, the issues around, it was at the height of the pandemic, that there was a surge happening. So we couldn't have a normal service. So we hadn't seen people. We hadn't seen them. And so it's like, really, the first time we're seeing you, like, are we not going to mention Molly? Really? Like,
But I remember for the first couple of years, you're like, I don't want people to forget Molly.
Yeah.
And, that's obviously foreign to me because I loved her so much. And she meant so much to me and our family. But I can understand that. I mean, I really can understand getting together and not having a conversation. It's like, did you guys forget? Where are we? I mean, it was my dad's 50th anniversary of his death. And I'm like, Mom, Dad's yurt site's coming up. And she's like, yeah, I know. We'll say it. I was like, you realize it's 50 years. Like, that was a big deal for me, and it didn't feel as big to others.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
What are you guys thinking?
What is happening here?
Right.
I think that, something that is powerful about our families is like we went through this tragedy together. We were already close. Our families were obviously close, but I think we leaned in to each other after the accident happened and with Molly's passing. And I'm really glad we made that choice to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it helped us a tremendous amount. I still go back to Molly coming over to the house, and I'm like, Emerson's not here. I know. Nicole's not here. I know. I was like, all right, come in.
Yeah.
And we would hang out together. So
she loved you. She always did.
So much fun. But one thing that it's interesting, we were talking about the house being done. And I think that with the loss of my dad and really my grandparents and everybody we always just had a very small family, because when my mom, after my dad died, my mom was in a town where pretty much everybody was married.
Oh.
She was beautiful. And
how old was she when he died?
She must have been 39.
Yeah, so young.
But the people that were friends with them as a couple did not really want her around. So we spent all of our holidays with my brother, my mom and I, or if my grandparents would come in, or with my godmother and her family, but always very small. So when we get together for the holidays, I want a lot of people around.
Yes.
I want a lot of people around to talk about different things that are related to the holidays. So when I think about it, and when I was thinking about coming on to the podcast, I was really thinking pretty much everything that I do in my life kind of
relates to that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, I mean, we have spent many holidays together, and I know that you always bring in a lot of people, and it's very familiar and comfortable to me because my family that I grew up in, we always had a whole array of people, neighbors, anyone who didn't have somewhere they were going. I mean, it was just like very normal for us to have a whole variety of people that we didn't know in the house for holidays. We would have sometimes my uncle would drive out from Arkansas to California, and he didn't even tell us he was coming. He would drive out. He would appear. He would walk into the kitchen and he would get a plate and he would sit down. He would eat. I mean, it was just like, oh,
I'm
hey,
here,
what's up?
Arkansas,
Like
no
I just
problem.
came from down the street.
Right.
So, I mean, that was always normal to me. And so it's interesting to hear what it is that kind of motivates you to host these large gatherings like that. And you do always like stand up and speak and talk about the reason for the holidays and
get other
why
people
we're here and get
because
other people involved.
It's
It's good. Yeah, it's good. And it's interesting that you know how to do that, even though you didn't have an example of that.
That's true.
Where does that come from?
I don't know.
It's interesting.
I mean, for the most part, everybody knows each other that are there, and I'm very comfortable with them. I have a lot of respect for the people who are generally there. So hearing their opinion is important to me because, there's been probably hundreds, and I'm serious, where we're just us will be sitting at dinner or whatever it is, and you or John or even Melanie will say something. I'm like, well, I got to go check Wikipedia for that. No.
Especially John with all of his information,
It's amazing. I love it. I love it.
And Nate is that way too. He's somebody there.
fantastic.
They've got those big Steinsapir brains and always, have some information that
It's true.
they're sharing.
Yeah. Well, I think it helps with relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned about not taking things for granted. I feel like I see things differently than most. I also feel, even though we've been through so much, really blessed that we can go back and build in the Palisades, because we know so many people who cannot. And when people are on the outside looking in and they see the tragedy and see what happens, I tell them because I do feel that way.
Yeah.
It's not just
But you really went through a lot. I mean, for our audience, Lyle was in the process with his family of remodeling their home. And so they were living in a rental property, also in the Palisades, and both their rental property and all of their things that they had and the house they were in the process of building, all of that burned. In addition to like our whole community and our kids' school and
that's probably
it was and is just a tremendous amount of like collective grief.
Yeah.
It's really a lot to go through.
It is, but I think that we're really lucky because nobody died, right? We're really lucky because we can afford to come back, and be a part of bring people back, because as we come back, more and more people will come back.
Sure.
It's almost like that's like a blessing too, is that we have the ability to come and be there and say, okay, we're going to rebuild this place,
right?
And we're just not going to let everybody come in and buy
right.
up all the land. And
I think our proximity to loss gives us a perspective.
I absolutely think that.
Yeah.
I think 100%.
Because we had gone through Molly's passing. We had gone through my cancer experience. You had lost your father as a child. Like the proximity to mortality gives us a perspective that, okay, well, these are things, and it's really difficult to lose all these things and home, and that's a real source of grief and trauma.
Yeah.
And also, we know that when we've experienced loss of life, that's something even greater.
Right. That's exactly right. That's how I think I look at most things.
Yeah.
I don't want people feeling sorry, like you were saying. You don't make it uncomfortable having the discussion, but if people can learn from what we had been through. I mean, the most interesting thing is, now that I'm older, and having conversations with my mom, my dad was a surgeon and elected not to have bypass surgery.
Really?
Because it was not approved in the United States, and he could have gone to Canada, but there was a 50-50 chance of survival.
What was his condition? He was aware he had a heart condition?
He was aware he had blocked arteries.
Oh.
So at the time, he knew that there was a procedure that he could have, but he had children that were 4 and 5, and was it worth the risk of being with us for another 6 months and alive and doing things, or having the surgery and dying. So I think
the surgery itself was risky.
it wasn't even
Approved.
Approved. It was in 1976. So it wasn't
Wow.
approved in the United States, and there was a 50-50 chance of mortality. So
Wow. I didn't realize that he was also a physician.
yeah.
Wow. What did your mother do? What did she do to support the family after he died?
Financially,
Yes.
nothing. Actually, we were in a position where my grandparents helped us out. We didn't live extravagantly.
Right.
We were likely on the lower middle side of lower middle class with help from my grandparents. My mom was an actress. She was on a bunch of
No wonder she's
soap
so
operas
good
and-
looking still.
Oh
She
my
was on
gosh.
soap operas, was she?
Yeah, and she was on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
With Burt Lahr.
She's got great legs.
The
she still wears her
colored line.
shorts.
I know.
The short shorts.
It's a little embarrassing.
It's good. I love it.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what my mother has been through. I mean, she raised us full time.
Yes.
She was at our games. She took us places. She made sure that we didn't feel as much of the loss that she did. She put the burden on herself. So that was that caused for a lot of drama in our house, but she took a lot of it.
Yeah. And she helped to facilitate like a close relationship with your siblings, your father's other children.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, my sister would send us a birthday card every year. She would check in, and my mom made sure that we came out to California to visit them. So it was really important to her. The idea of family she wanted to keep us close.
So important. Like as when I was growing up, my parents were divorced, and my mother remarried several times, and her longest marriage, he had children from a previous marriage, and they had children together, and there was just so much animosity, and so many ugly things that were said about their mother in front of them, to them, and likewise about my father, and my father said about my mother, and there was just so much ugliness, and that we were all constantly witness to. And it's so good when people can set anything aside and help to foster those kind of relationships for kids.
Yeah,
when they're already going through something tough, like divorce or death. Like,
it is interesting because my dad would come home very upset and have a conversation with my mom about what my half siblings would be hearing from their mother, and I think it was very difficult on him to hear it. We never experienced it. I think it was incredible of my mom, especially after everything that went through, where everything was tied up for. It wasn't like a couple of months. It was years that we really didn't have access to money. For her to say that had nothing to do with your siblings,
right.
and you're going to be close to them, and we're going to make sure of that. And my sister was amazing. She reached out. She was fantastic. Where the opposite was true too with my uncle, who was my dad's brother, who wanted nothing to do with us.
Oh, wow.
And didn't speak to us. And
families are weird. You never know what you're going to get.
I was just going to say, you just don't.
You never know. And especially around death, it's like people surprise you in good ways and then in not so good ways.
Yeah.
That, and same thing with a diagnosis, whatever it is, whatever puts you in that obliterated place, there will be people you expect to be sitting there beside you that aren't there. And you're sad and you're shocked and you're heartbroken that they aren't there and you don't know why they're not there. And then also there are going to be other people that are there that you didn't even know or didn't know well or never would have imagined that they would come and sit beside you there and be such a support. I think that's universally true.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. One of the things that it's hard to not be disappointed though.
Yes.
It's very difficult to not be disappointed when things like that happen.
Or angry. I mean, my family, my parents did not come to see me when I had cancer. They did not come when Molly died.
I know.
They did not come. They never came. They're just, I have the situation of like, I have young parents who are alive, but I can't have a relationship with them because it's so, and I'm not one of these people that's like, I know it's a trend to cut off your family for a variety of reasons. Mine was, really not, it's literally not an option. Even if I really wanted to keep trying, it's not an option.
We actually, I don't know if you remember, but when we first met, not that long afterwards, you kind of had mentioned what was about your parents. And for me then, and different now, but I always felt like, well, shouldn't you give it a chance? Shouldn't you? Because I don't have a father to give it that chance. And then, but obviously I know your situation now, and you've given it as many chances as possible.
I keep giving chances. I look at it like I tell myself like, okay, it's never forever. I will never say something's forever. I say it's not today. It's not right now. And I really had to go through a period of like self-protection when I had cancer. Like I really truly knew that the toxicity and the craziness and the real trauma that was inflicted by my family was not healthy for me and contributed to my disease. And so I had to, as like you said, when you knew you just had to survive. Like I have young children, I have to live. I'm going to do everything to live.
Right.
So I had to just kind of, with the help of a therapist, really establish boundaries. But I did, of course, I was in touch with my parents when Molly was in the hospital. I let them speak to her on the phone, though I was angry that they didn't choose to know her. It's like, this is your granddaughter here, and you chose not to know her, especially my dad. But nevertheless, I did open the door to both of them after that. And boy, it was like that door needed to close. It was like, we're going to like peek your head out. And I mean, it was like, oh, no, this is terrible. I mean, it was the day after Molly's memorial at Kaye, and my mom reached out to John and asked him for money. And she knows not to ask me because I've already been down this road where I'm like, I will always help. I will help, truly help, but I'm not wiring cash or sending a Venmo. It's not happening. And so she asked him, and the story she made up, I checked, of course, with my sister immediately, as she should have known, wasn't even true. It was all bullshit. And it's like, who is contacting a man who just lost his 12-year-old daughter and just said goodbye to her yesterday? And you weren't even here, by the way. And you're hitting this guy up for money over something that didn't even happen? Yeah,
that's a pretty good indication.
That's a definite no. That is like, this is not coming out of the box. But we did try. I mean, when we could afford to, we bought her a place to live because she's been living on the streets on and off. Bought her a place to live. She decided not to stay in the place. Now we have the place. And my father is less extreme. He's not like her, like living on the street and really severely mentally ill. So his is actually kind of a worse story because, we, tried and had a relationship a bit again, but it went immediately back to the same as it's always been, which is that he's married to someone who doesn't feel okay with us having contact, and it just always goes back into the same place, and it's never good. It just never ends well. So I never say it's forever, but it's not
sometimes
likely.
You need to be reminded.
Occasionally, we check in and it's like, oh no, we're putting the lid right back on this one.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Good luck and goodbye.
Right.
I mean, but they're young, so it's like, well, who knows? Life is long. Maybe. We'll see.
I mean, you hope.
Before we end, we have to talk about this topic because I think it's interesting to people. I know it's interesting to people because they tell me. Because people reach out to me about their losses of all types. And a lot of people reach out to me about the loss of their animals.
Oh, gosh.
Is this going to get you choked up? This is going to be hard for you to talk about? Lyle, like John, like my husband, is an animal lover, cat lover. And I think it's really interesting. I think it's absolutely, like, obviously a form of grief and loss. And it really impacts people. And you have gone through that.
Yes, my mom talks about it all the time, about how difficult my life is because I've lost my 3 cats in the last 4 years. But here's what I would say. I think that it's really very difficult. I mean, when my cat the first cat I lost would be on my shoulder for the entire time I worked.
Yeah.
And she was literally my best friend.
Yeah.
I know I have a ton of friends and that I love very much, but when the kids were angry or there was something, they weren't happy with me, the cat was never mad at me.
What was her name?
Cece.
Cece, yep.
Yes.
I used to feed her when you were out of town.
Yes, is thank you again.
Yes.
And so did Molly.
Yes.
Which was amazing.
Molly loved animals, so
Yes.
she was very happy to do it.
And then, so Cece was incredible. Then there was a cat that was left alone in in our community, Link, who I kind of brought in, and he died, which wasn't as traumatic, but I felt terrible.
Yeah.
And then we had Elsie for 22 years, who
Crazy.
and
22
it's,
years.
as crazy
Yeah.
it is, you
Yeah.
think of things like you don't have to put a parent down. You don't have to put a child down.
Yeah, right.
But I think that the experience that makes it so traumatic
true.
is that you're making a decision and you're just kind of trusting the veterinarians that you see once a year, and they're saying, oh, she's suffering or he's suffering, and you have to put her down because she or he might not make it through the weekend, which, by the way, every single time I had to put the cat down, I was traveling somewhere. So it was right before I put it down, the cat down, which made it so much worse. I mean, and Melanie is incredible. I mean, very, very supportive. And even though she probably is laughing at me with us talking about this, like, I know that sometimes you guys laugh about John and I about this stuff.
Yeah, because you guys are both, very tenderhearted about the animals, which is very nice and it's truly, I love my pets too. I mean, I'm not at all diminishing this, but it really truly is, like, people's pets are their children in some ways. They are their loved ones. They are cherished members of the family, and people experience real lasting grief when they pass. And so we're here to talk about all forms of grief. And I think that's, honestly, I really think, by the way, that's something there's not enough conversation about that.
Yeah, I mean, really, we had Cece and Elsie before we had kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that Melanie thinks I'm crazy that for 11 months I'll stand up and I'll say Kaddish for both of them. I did. Yeah, I might go to a little bit to the extreme, but I really do believe that you have this animal that trusted you, can't speak for themselves at all, and you have to make a decision to end their life. I'm getting, it's just tough.
It's very
difficult.
I remember when we had to put our cat Ellie to sleep. John was at the vet on the corner in the Palisades that burned down since then, but we were there, and we both were there for a long time after we had to do it, and he really didn't want to leave, and he stayed longer, and he's like, he said, I'm sorry, like, I just still have more to cry. I still felt like I had more I needed to let out, and it's important that people feel, look, I think it's so important that people feel seen in all their forms of loss and grief, and that's absolutely one of them. And I think one thing that's really cool about you is, like, you're kind of a tough guy. You work with boxers. You're like, coaching baseball. You're like you're a masculine guy, but you're also like you have a really tender heart, and like, you don't hesitate to ever just share that heart with people. And I just appreciate that so much about you. And
That's so nice.
You
Thank
have
you.
Molly, your bracelet on that you've had since we lost Molly. And
New band.
Yes,
New band.
I was going to say, yeah, that looks like a new band. Lyle has a little fabric bracelet with Molly's name in like little blocks.
Yes, which I had since before she passed away. So, but I think of her every day.
Yeah.
It's not there isn't a day that goes by. It just that she's very important. I mean, to our entire family.
I know, and we know that, and it helps. I mean, it really helps. It helps to have you guys. You're sort of like with us in helping to keep her spirit present and be part of her foundation and carry on, and help to like make her be part of things, even though she's like not here physically to like graduate like the kids are going to be doing, or all of those things. It's like, but through the work we do, through the foundation, through the community work we do, through the synagogue, all these things is our way of keeping her present. And you guys are definitely like a huge part of that. So I'm just like really grateful for that.
Of course. I mean, she will always be a big part of our family.
Yeah.
And I think this is amazing. And I mean, we've obviously been together so frequently, and we've never had this type of conversation.
Yeah, no, right.
But we've had deep conversations before, so I don't want anybody to think anything different. But it's helpful to have these conversations.
It is definitely, and I really appreciate it too. I've said that before in the podcast that like, because I'm somebody who's like a busy bee, just flitting from one thing to the next, and I am not. It's very rare I sit down for an hour.
Oh,
very rare.
Yeah.
Almost never. So it's really good for me to like have time to like just sit down and have like an intentional conversation, and say things or and learn things, and also to say things that you might assume people know. I told this to John recently about like his half brother, who he does not obviously consider half brother. He has two of them. Like, and he was talking about like how much he meant to him and all of these different things. And I was like, does he know this?
Right.
Like, and he's like, I think he knows. I'm like, maybe you should just make sure. Like, these are such nice things that you're saying. Right. And of course you feel this way, but wow, I mean, we should say those things more. We should hear those things more. So I really appreciate just like having the space to have more thoughtful, like conversations with people and learning things about, I obviously knew your father passed when you were young, but I didn't know all the background. And I think also it's just so important for men to speak about loss and grief, because it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen as much. It doesn't happen as much. So thank you so much. It's been amazing to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. This is awesome.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us today. Please be sure to follow the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, follow and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and follow us there. We appreciate it so much. Thank you. Until next time, I'm your host, Kaye Steinsapir. Thank you.